Hello to all my crafty creators. My name is Vicki Enyard, and I am one of the 10 Stampin' Up! Demonstrators that have teamed up together to bring you a festive handmade holiday card hop. Each designer will be sharing 2 unique Christmas card process videos during the month of October. So you'll be getting a total of 20 step-by-step tutorials packed with inspiration, tips, and fresh holiday card making ideas. Throughout the month, you're going to find a wide variety of Christmas card inspirations from clean and simple to detailed and layered. Whether you're new to stamping or a seasoned paper crafter, this playlist will give you an endless idea for holiday card making. So don't forget to check out the playlist and the other 9 participating artists. You won't want to miss their hops. We do post them on Tuesdays and Fridays of the month. So again, this is just an array of what I'll be using today, and I'll go through each one as I use it and in which card I use it in. So let me clean my desk and then we're going to get started. So this is the card that I'm going to be presenting today. It's called an Inside Out Spotlight Stamping. Instead of showing the reproduction of the stamping card just for time essence, I'm doing it with DSP, the card that we'll be recreating today. So as you can see, as you open it, it's an illusion. Well, if I can open it, sorry about that. It's an illusion and it's a trifold. Okay, so cute, fairly simple, but it's got a little bit of technique to it, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so I have pre-cut most of the papers in advance just to save time on the video, but I will be going over the different products that I'll be using today. So the first product, which is probably the star of the show, is the wonderful 6x6 papers, the Christmas tags and more. And this is what we'll be using for the front and middle of our cards. The next product that is also the star of our show is this wonderful set. It's called Greetings for You Mix and Match Ephemera Pack. And it's got wonderful gold sayings that you can use on multiple different cards. In the Christmas and More comes a lot of the different ephemera. So they punch out so easy. I decided to go ahead and punch them all out and have them in this little container just to make it easier for myself. We will be decorating the card with these beautiful traditional sparkling sequins. Come in a range of colors, so we'll be using those. And then, of course, the die cut that I'm going to be using is this wonderful nesting set that comes with the branching out. And I'm going to be using the third one from the largest. And that's what's going to create our window that gives us that illusion here. Okay. And then last but not least, we will be stamping inside with Be Jolly. And that comes from the Ornamental Christmas cling stamp. And that will be our saying on the inside. And also I have used the little ornament tag, or topper, the ornament topper, to create some of my own custom toppers by just cutting this out and then cutting it down to size to fit the ornaments on the DSP. Okay, so I think we can get started. Like I said, I have pre-cut some of my paper in advance, so we are going to be starting. I don't know if you can see that. We are going to be starting with 2 A2 card sizes, 4.5 by 5.5, and it is going to be a top folding. So we can go ahead. It's already pre-scored. We're going to go ahead and do our score lines. Alrighty. So what will happen here is that this one is going to actually get glued to the inside. And this is what's going to create our trifold. Sorry about that, I was off screen. So it's going to get glued to the inside, and like I said, it's going to create our trifold. Okay, so we're going to put the one aside that flips up, and then we're going to go ahead and get started on our front panel. So what I did with this is I'm starting flat, and I'm placing the panel in the center as best as possible. Okay, and then we're going to take our die cut and we're going to be placing that again as center as possible. And we want to make sure we get that little tip of the ornament. And that looks pretty good. So let me just get my washi tape. And I'm just going to take some of that stick off just so it doesn't end up tearing some of that DSP. So again, we're going to, and I want to glue it. I want to tape it to the cardstock too, so that the actual DSP paper doesn't shift in the die cutting machine. So let me just set this card aside, and we're going to bring the die cutting machine in. Alrighty. Yep, that looks pretty straight. So I'm just going to place the front of the card because we don't really need to go past the fold line there, but we just need to make sure that it is going to cut that top of the die. All right. And then I'm going to stop and pull it out. There we go. Okay. So now, and it went through both pieces, and that's what we wanted to do to make that window. So best to cut them at the same time. And then you're going to have both of these pieces to do further things with, and I have options that I'll show you in a little bit after we get done with the card. So this is just where you got to really peel it off nice and slow. There you go, so that we don't, like I said, end up tearing the DSP along with it. Okay, so now we are done with that die. All right. Oops, sorry, I got a lot of glitter. I was cutting some glitter paper yesterday, and it is sparkling. All right, so now this is ready to go. We can glue this on the top. I like to use the liquid glue, the mono-adhesive liquid glue, just because it gives you a little bit of extra time to adhere it. You don't need a ton. Just, you know, a little bit in all four corners and down the sides. And then we're going to flip that and line it up to our cut lines. And you can even pick it up so that you can move it a little bit. Yeah. Well, I think that looks pretty good. All right. So this is the beginning of the front of our card. So now, in order to get that illusion, we're going to be taking this card, and this is going to get glued in first so that it can do. Now, it will be a tad bit longer on the bottom, and to me, that's not a problem. It's, you know, so if you wanted to, you could cut that tip, the tiny tip of this card off so that, you know, but I'm just putting it under the fold so that I don't have to worry about it getting jammed up when you go to fold it. So at this point now, we're just going to go ahead and glue this one down. And again, the liquid glue gives you a little bit of wiggle room. And then you can just really press that down and get it nice and solid. Okay, so and see what I did? I said we're gonna have that little bit of tiny. So what I probably, yep, I went a little too high. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna trim off this little tiny piece here so that it doesn't bend in the card. So let me get my trimmer. So we're gonna just, actually, you know what? I'm going to actually use my different. Sometimes when you're cutting that tiny bit off, the the blade snags just a little bit, so a guillotine actually works a little bit better. All right, now let's see if that helped. No, we're still a little too long. I guess I went a little too far. I think what I did was I went, yeah, here we go. All right, now let's see. There we go. Okay, perfect. Alrighty. Put that away. All right, so then our next step is going to be putting the piece in for the illusion. So again, this is, I pre-cut the DSP down to 4 by 5 1/4. All the instruction sizes will be in there because I wanted a nice little window panel on the outside too, just to give it some color and dimension. So now this is going to get glued in here, but what we have to do before we do that is that we have to line this up perfectly. And sometimes this is going to be maybe off a tiny bit, but it matches up pretty darn good. So you just have to make sure you have your DSP. All right, I think I'm pretty happy with that. So then what I did, now look, it's a little crooked, see? So I don't really like that look. So I'm going to try to straighten that up just a tad bit and see if that still looks okay. Nope. All right, so let's try to get this up here, because this is where the optical illusion is created. This is a lot harder to do on camera than it was for me to do it by myself. Sorry about that, but we're getting there. Okay, I like this side, but that green globe I'm still not exactly happy with. Okay, that's a little better. This one has to go maybe down a little bit, or up. Okay, all right, now that looks pretty good. Let's see how crooked it is inside. Well, it's a little crooked, but you know what? I'm going to go with it because this is what matches up. So, because if I straighten this up, oh, well, actually, that's not horrible. Okay. Sorry. All right. So I finally got it lined up. So what I did was I did not pick it up once I've lined up the front frame, and all I did was lift the DSP and stick some glue underneath here. And then I turned it, lifted the DSP, and stick some more glue. So now when we close it, it's perfectly lined up, and that's where you get your illusion from. Now, it did line up great in here, my borders, so we are going to fix that, and we're going to do an extra frame, and I'll do that later as we go further in the card. I do have this one cut. I don't want it quite this small. This is actually for the top, just to help it give some stability. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to glue this one on. And this is the next size. So this was the smaller size. And this is the cutout is the second to the largest, as you can see. So it is the second to the largest that I used to cut this frame out. And probably what I'll do on the bottom here is use the largest frame. Yeah, and then it will just do a thin border down here that will hide the spacing problem that I ended up having to get the DSP to line up perfectly. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this one on. So again, this, you just wanna do a thin line And you don't want to go, maybe just a little circle in the corners. Okay. And this is going to line up to the outside edges. And it just kind of gives it a little bit of a cleaner look. And for me, I wanted a little more stability in that first flap because it being so tiny, frame, I felt like it was just too weak with just that one little piece of cardstock. So this is pretty because it gives it a nice little frame on the inside. Okay. All right, and we'll just make sure this is laying flat. All righty. So far, so good. And then now on the inside, we have the piece that was on the side of this DSP. So the DSP comes like this. So I just cut this off to equal that 4 1/4 by 4. I'm sorry, it's 4 by 5 1/4. And then I just trimmed this off and trimmed it down so that it would fit inside the DSP. Alrighty. So where is our sample card? So as you can see, it's just lined up with a nice little edge on the inside. Okay. All right, so there's a little speck of glue, but this does dry clear, so that's the nice thing about it. All righty. Okay, so before we add our sentiment inside, we do need to stamp it. So I am using the Cherry Cobbler, Stampin' Up. So we're gonna go ahead and open this. And we have the Be Jolly. Let me just get a scrap piece of paper just to stamp off the first time, just to make sure that we're getting that solid stamp. Okay. And I'm just doing it on the a little bit closer to the top, but not tippy top, just to give space for people to write. All right, beautiful. Okay, now this can be attached to the inside. And we're just going to center that. And I know I am a little bit of a stickler, although this is not going to be seen. I kind of made sure it was. There we go. Okay, beautiful. Alrighty. So now we have our actual trifold started and connected. And then, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this frame before we go any further. Alrighty, so with the magic of video, I have pre-cut the piece of garden green with the large nesting die that I said I was going to do so that it could be a smaller frame on the inside. So as you can see now, once we put this on, nobody will know that that's not perfectly straight. So we're going to go ahead and adhere this. I'm going to open it up just so I can make sure that I have this straight. Okay, so now it's as beautiful inside as it is outside. All right, so now we're going to start doing the embellishments because our base is all set and completed. So we will start with the front. So I have the sentiment from that pack that I had showed you. I've already pop dotted it. So we're just going to go ahead and take this. All right, and this is going to go down in the corner. I'm going to again do this so I can actually see. So we're just going to do it down in the corner. I don't want to actually cover that tip. And then we have the bells and the candy canes. So the candy canes are just going to get adhered to the left side here. So we're just going to put a little glue on the left side of them. And maybe just want to wipe a little bit of that off. There we go. And again, we're just going to attach that like so. All right, and then our bells. We're just going to attach the tip of the bells. So again, we're just going to use a little glue at the top. Not a lot needed, and I'm actually going to close it so I can center it between these two. And we can go up pretty high. Beautiful. All right. Okay, so now we're gonna come here, and then here's my 3 little glitter ornament toppers that we're going to attach. And let me just grab my fine tip tweezers because, yeah, I have a hard time holding on to all this stuff. So we're just gonna, again, add a little bit of glue. Not a lot is necessary. And that's gonna go on the top of that. And we'll just straighten that out a little bit and press down. Maybe. There we go. And then the wider one is for the round ball, the round ornament, I should say. All right, and that's gonna go about right here. Again, straighten that out just a little bit. Okay, and the last one for the skinny little ornament. So as you can see, I've cut this one down much smaller. All right, so now we have those. And then I also used the tiny little garden green bow that was in that ephemera pack. And we're just going to put a tiny little glue dot right here. And again, that's a little too much, so I just pat it off on a piece of paper or a paper towel. And that's gonna go right here. And we're just gonna hold that for a minute because we are kind of gluing it over the glitter. Oh. A little piece of glue there. I should just get my little, there we go, eraser. All right, what do we have next? Okay, I think now we just have the gems on the outside. All right, so let's grab the gems and my little picker that I have. And what do we have? We have a big red one that I put right here. Gives it a lot of sparkle. And we'll go back to the front. And I believe it is a small gold one on the candy cane because it's a tiny little bow. And then I did also a small, I think it's a small, yep, a small red one up here on the bells. Okay. All right, so the front of our card's looking pretty good. It's all done, and on the inside, that's all I have for that. And then now we have the very inside, and we have one little more piece of ephemera. So we have the little leaves that are curving to the left. There is another set that curves to the right, so obviously it's your choice of which one you want to do. It's not no problema. And I'm just going to kind of curve that in to down on the corner. And then 3 more gems. So I'm putting one here, and then a medium one up here, and then a small one up by Be Jolly. So we have our third, our little triangle of 3. All right, so this card is complete now. So I hope you like it. I love it. I love just a little bit of glitter. Who doesn't like glitter during Christmas time? So here we have it, our trifold that we're going to open up, and it's the inside out stamping technique, but done with the DSP here on this card. Okay, and then we have the trifold. Well, if I can get it open again, and the trifold. All right, so that is the completed card that I am making for you. Now, I do have some other samples to show you. So let me just put all this stuff off to the side. And so I truly made a inside out stamping card. So what I did was I used the I believe it's the Christmas greenery. Yep. So here is the Christmas greenery, and I used the die and the stamp set. So I stamped it in Memento on the actual card base, and then cut it out with the die cut from the branching out, the thin cuts from the branching out. And then I actually stamped it again a second time, and I colored it in with our Stampin' Blends. So the green leaves, I used the garden green, old olive, I'm so sorry, the old olive, the light and the dark old olive. For the small pink flowers, it is Pretty in Pink, again, the light and the dark. And then for the big poinsettia, let's see, we got to turn this around. It is the cherry cobbler, the light and the dark. Okay, so I just did some easy coloring, nothing too extravagant, and added a couple little pieces of die cuts. And again, those came from branching out. This little guy right here, I added in the garden green and old olive. And then the sentiment, again, came from, you guessed it, the Greetings for You Mix and Match ephemera pack. So they have so many beautiful ones that you can use in this kit. So that is the true inside outside stamped. And then I just did a backing here because I didn't like how the marker had kind of seeped through the actual base of the card, so I wanted to cover that up a little bit and give it a prettier look inside. Okay, and then this bow too is also die cutted from the Christmas greenery, and that is right here. So it's all 3 pieces, the little tails, the bow part, and a tiny little piece that goes there, but I also added the gem that went there too. So that is that. All right, so now I also told you I was going to show you some other samples, and so because we are scrappers and or scrapbookers or card makers, we don't like to have anything go to waste. So the piece that was cut out of this, and because I had colored it, I just took it and made another card. So I backed it in some beautiful glitter paper. This just came from my stock. And then these little pieces of the DSP came from the Traditions of Christmas, and it is in the Secrecy color. So it's the little pieces here. This is actually the front side, and this is the back side. So just took 2 tiny little pieces there to give it the full length and make it look like it's all one. But I think I wasn't going to get rid of this. No waste. So it looks beautiful and just a simple flip card. All right. And then from these, I ended up doing this card here because the inside of this that I cut out is the inside of the card. And then I pop dotted the ornament pieces here, the cappers, and again, the sentiment from that ephemera set. Well, it's not really considered ephemera. It's the Greetings for You Mix and Match. Oh yeah, it is actually considered ephemera pack. All right, and I did the Merry and Bright in that. And because there's no place to really write here, I just put on the back and I did 'Tis the Season. So this came from this, and then because we cut this out, didn't want that to go to waste, so I went ahead and took that piece, and this became the front of this card. And again, added some ephemera from the other kit, which is, sorry about that, the Christmas Tags and More. So this ephemera came from Christmas Tags and More, and then that's the other one, and added some. And then this is the other piece that I had left over from cutting the inside. And then I just added a little package inside from that ephemera pack. So there you have it. So we started with one card and ended up with, how many do I have here? 6. And don't forget, now I still have this, so I'm going to be making another card that I can extend out. So again, thank you for joining me. I hope will support my channel by liking, subscribing, sharing, and leaving me a comment or two. Don't forget to click the notifications bell so you won't miss my future videos. I will be up again next Friday on October 31st. But that's it for today. Again, thanks for tuning in and have a wonderful weekend. And also don't forget to check out the other demonstrators videos on the Hop, and make sure that you like and subscribe to them too. We really appreciate it. All right, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.